cartel. Those are some of the concerns coming in. I don't know what Samuel Kimeo has to say to that.
Well, I think one of the clear comments that is supported by the evidence that we've gathered in our studies is that a lot of people are reluctant to report because they do not think any action will be taken, either because they have reported before and no action was taken. And this is an issue that is a source of concern. If I was in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission or any other entity for that matter that is charged with the fight against corruption, I would be worried by those statistics. Right. And I do know that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is indeed worried about the statistics. And I know that there is an initiative that is led by the Commission that brings together about 5 other independent commissions that receive complaints. And what they have been trying to do is to avail their offices to one another for people to be able to report in an accessible manner through what they call the Integrated Public Complaints Reporting Mechanism. So that if you walk to any of the commissions, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, the Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee, if you walk to any of their offices, you can report a complaint relating to any of their mandates, and that would be channeled to the relevant commission. That is one way in which I know that the commission has responded to this. But clearly a lot needs to be done to build the confidence of
Kenyans. You can see that is a lot of frustration, a litany of frustration with would-be whistleblowers. So what, in fact, needs to be done to enable these people to change that attitude, to become whistleblowers, and to see that their complaints are acted upon, or the reports are actually acted upon, legally, legislatively, that is to speak, or administratively?
I think if I might start with the administrative aspect of it, I think our institutions need to work on the complaints handling mechanism. A lot of the complaints you get is that it takes too long to address a complaint, and that a lot of the complaints that are received are never acted upon. And on many occasions, you never get feedback, even when you've reported or you made a complaint. Right. And that, of course, undermines the entire system, because if I have that experience that I have reported and no feedback is given and nothing has happened, then I am unlikely to go back and report. So our institutions need to work on their complaints handling protocols and make sure that when people complain, at least they are kept updated of the progress, and that the complaints are acted within a reasonable period and in a I would say in an expeditious manner that also gives feedback to the person who has complained, so that they know action has been taken.
Right. In terms of guaranteeing the whistleblower, a lot of people looking at what happened, or the fate of those we have listed there as whistleblowers, from Munyankei, who died after Goldenberg, exposing Goldenberg. His life never, went well. He ended up, dying in very mysterious, miserable conditions. John Githongo had to take off and stay abroad, and he became, in the eyes of the authorities, unpatriotic.
Yes.
So, I mean, these are not examples to encourage people to, you're calling whistleblowers to come forth.
That's right.
What needs to be done?
Well, first of all, I think it's an indictment that a lot of whistleblowers have faced this fate. And by the way, those are just the 2 examples, because they were whistleblowers in high-profile cases. There are many other whistleblowers at a much lower level who have suffered, and some of them even paid the ultimate price with their lives for the reports that they have made to police and others. I think what we need to do is to change our perspectives as a government, first of all, that those who report on corruption must be vindicated and seen as performing a patriotic duty, a civic responsibility.
Right.
That is something that we need to do. And to achieve that, it needs leadership from all levels. At a political level, we need to affirm whistleblowers and say that whistleblowers will be treated and given the protection that is required of them to make sure that they do not suffer any reprisals by virtue of them having reported.
All right, we'll come back to some of the protection or protections mechanisms that are there, like the Witness Protection Act, and see whether they've been effective. But let's see what Mukazi, the public thinks about this.
All right, many thanks. Well, I mean, it's still out there. Just looking at people who perhaps are willing to speak, and just like you said, some of the whistleblowers that we had, what really happened to them after they spoke is nothing to encourage other people to come out. But just looking at the question, have you ever reported a corruption case and was it acted upon? Justice Chichalnye says, yesterday I went to an army recruitment somewhere. By the look of things, corruption would be felt, smoking in the air, choking people to death. Kenya will never be corrupt-free. Nice day. Aye. All right. So this is some of the comments coming in, but remember, you can actually also call us. That is 0719 777 777. That's 0719 777 777. Call us now. We just want to know what you think about the place of reporting corruption and whether it will be acted upon. Right now, let's take a look at what different people across the country had to say about reporting corruption and whether, if they go ahead to report corruption, whether it will be acted upon.
Mbona corrupt ndio utaweza report, lakini utaweza enda ureport mtu mwenye anafanya hiyo corruption akikujua ama afuatilie kwenye unakuaga, ni rahisi sana upoteze maisha yako juu hiyo deal labda ya corrupt yenye alikuwa anaipiga, hiyo ndio life yake.
Unapeleka mwizi kwa mwizi aje? Ni kama pastor wende ukastaki pastor mwingine. Hata bibi yangu weze anastaki mimi ati kwake ati amekosea wewe.
Yeah, kuna zile numbers zile hotline numbers ambayo itakana to report. Kwa hivyo nitachukua jukumu la kuripoti.
Hapa Nyeri hakuna pahali ya kuripoti ufisadi. Hata ukipata ufisadi unafanyika kwa ofisi fulani. Jambo lile mzuri ni ushukue kiboko, uchape hao watu, uwaondoche kama Yesu alivyofanya. Sababu hata ukipeleka ripoti yako hata kwa polisi sahi, hao ndio corruption.
Mambo ya corruption ni imesidi sana. Hakuna pahali ya kuenda. Ukiwa unapata kila mtu, hata yule unaenda kwa yeye, kila mtu ni corrupt. Kwa hivyo yes, tumewashia tu Mungu.
I would be the first person to report any issue of corruption around or within me, and I would want every other peace-loving Kenyan to do the same.
Whoever is not reporting, you are eaten back by that same corruption. So I think in my case, if I'm in a situation whereby there are corrupt people.
Kwa hivyo ni kama kujisumbua kwenda kupeleka ripoti polisi ama kwenye idara za serikali, lakini ni muhimu for record purpose kwamba watu waende wakaseme, lakini hatutaraji kwamba kutakuwa na lolote litakalotokea.
Kuripoti sijai ripoti kwa sababu pale penye umeingia ama pale penye umesaidika kwa njia fulani ama moja ama ingine, unaona uko sawa wewe. Mimi
kwa maisha yangu nimeipitia vile nilitoka college, wakati nilikuwa na hustle kutafuta job. Kwanza wakati nilienda kufanya interview kwa hoteli, niliambiwa kwanza lazima nitoe kitu kidogo ya interview kuona manager ndio sasa nipate nafasi ya kupewa job, ambapo wakati huo nilijaribu kwa hustle sana, ambapo sikufaulu kupata job kwa mambo ya ufisadi.
All right, so those are some of the comments coming in from different people across the country. And perhaps just one here. Pastor Muthe says, report to who if those to be reported to are the Grand Masters of the same? Would you report a 50-shilling collection? Okay. All right. Remember, you can call us. The number is 0719 777 777. There's somebody from Busia who's calling. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Kindly tell us, would you report a corruption case?
I wouldn't report any corruption case because that is wasting time. This country lacks the political will to deal with corruption. And that is a question as media you should be asking. I think you're even asking the wrong question. and it's like misleading people. Let's tackle the bull by its horns. We are asking the wrong question. We need to ask the correct question. Is there political will to deal with this issue of corruption? It is not there. This idea of telling people that citizens also should not be corrupt, while the leadership is so corrupt, I think is a waste of Kenyans people's time. Let's ask the correct questions.
All right, many thanks indeed.
You have the wrong question, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate your comment. David Makali there. What's your response?
Well,
What's the response?
Very,
of Samuel
very
Kimeu?
interesting. Well, maybe I should put that to Kimeu. Is there political will to fight corruption?
I think that has been lacking. And perhaps what has even been more lacking is the leadership. Because remember, we as a country are able to respond to the leadership of the day on a number of issues. And I'll give an example. If you look at the port of Mombasa and the Northern Transport Corridor, the president has taken a very keen interest in it. And you can see the transformation that has taken place within very few weeks. That goods that would have taken weeks to be cleared and transported from Mombasa across the border are now taking 3 days.
5 days,
you know,
yes.
5 days, 3 days. So because there was leadership, the things that the president, the things that have been done now with regard to that corridor have not been done because we didn't know what needed to be done.
So now, the answer to that question, currently, is there political will in this administration to fight corruption?
I would say that that has not been manifested in action yet, and I think we need the president, in my view, to come forward on this issue and provide leadership. And it is an issue that has suffered, has been orphaned politically for very many years.
Right.
So if President Kenyatta, His Excellency, would take up this, he would actually, in my view, be the first person, the first president who has taken up this fight seriously. But that will also need that he is resolute about it, and that the people in government and the institutions that have been established to fight corruption are also held to account for their action or inaction in this respect.
Okay, the political will is one, but the framework, the incentives that we require for people to actually come forward and file reports with the relevant institutions that are charged with fighting corruption or crime generally, what needs to be done? Are there any proposals in the offing to take this fight forward?
Yes, indeed. There are discussions among stakeholders that have been going on with regard to putting in place or urging the putting in place of a whistleblower protection law. And this whistleblower protection law would actually put us at par with the other countries that have made progress in this regard, that have put the protection of the whistleblower protection as a key pillar in the fight against corruption.
What would be the ingredients of that whistleblower protection law? That this is what would be provided for?
Perhaps the starting point would be what kind of protection would a whistleblower need? And one, a whistleblower needs protection regarding the information that they have provided. That information should not be put out there into the open in a manner that would expose that whistleblower. Secondly, the whistleblower's identity, and sometimes even the identity of the person that they have contributed that information against, need also to be protected and only used by the investigators, those who are digging deep to find out the truth of what has happened. And thirdly, of course, the whistleblower lives in the society, so they have relations, very close relations to them that might be detrimentally affected by any reprisals against them. So these are the protections that they need. And then, of course, more fundamentally, protection from legal action, civil or criminal action against them.
Right.
Yeah.
Would we need incentives, the way you put a cash award for reporting crime or reporting corruption? Would that be a good way to go?
I think others have done it. I would think that it is not the best way to proceed. I think the best way to proceed is to have resources that enable us to protect the whistleblowers, but not to hold the carrot as part of it. It is part of the strategy.
Yes.
I am not ruling it out completely. And as a matter of fact, in the discussion, part of the proposals that have been made is to establish a whistleblower protection fund that is has also an incentive aspect to it.
Right.
So that if you have reported a matter that has been successfully concluded, then the Whistleblower Protection Council might decide to award you for that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, how different is that going to be from the Witness Protection Act, which exists now to protect witnesses of a different type? But this would be related to this, wouldn't it?
Yes, there is a very close correlation between the two, but the whistleblower and the witness are often very different people.
A whistleblower may not go on to become a witness.
Yes, in many occasions the whistleblower hardly becomes a witness. He just provides information that allows law enforcement officers to know where to start when they are investigating a matter.
Okay, we'll come back to how far this is going in terms of getting it in place so that the fight can be advanced. Mwakazi?
Yeah, many thanks indeed, David Makali. Of course, just looking at some of your comments, thank you so much indeed. And there's one here saying, Power Breakfast, please come to KRA Thika. Now people are applying liquor license. They will be part with 5 to 10,000 to be given compliance certificates without paying. All right, so this particular gentleman or lady is actually reporting here. So questions in terms of where people should go and report. We have another one here. This is Wanjiru says, I reported a corruption straightforward case and I ended up being victimized and I lost my job with nothing. What? Okay. Another one here says, yes, I reported corruption to the board and little did I know that I had stepped on a live fire. Wow. They roped me in and I became the hunted. Once they made me appear in the disciplinary committee and was found innocent. In contradictory move, I was terminated instead of being rewarded for blowing the whistle against corruption. My. Now we have another phone call. Remember, you can call us 0719 071 777 777. Before we move on, let's take a look at some of the comments here. But remember, you can call us 0719 777 777 is the number. Now, Wambani says, yes, I did report one at my workplace. Money was being stolen and guess what? I was taken to a police cell. Now I have a criminal case plus I lost my job. Aye. And Jiru says, yes, I did in Nyeri when Mr. Jiwe was the boss and after a week I lost my job. Nothing was done about it and I was the loser. Why should I report any case again? Somebody says, I would never report a case in my life. I did and almost lost my job. My reputation was fraudulently destroyed and was transferred to no end. My. Yes, I caught a police officer openly receiving bribe in Thika town, asked him why he was doing so. He called the officers in a patrol car, taken to Thika police station, locked the whole day, later to be charged with obstruction. I regret this day. My, I mean, looking at all those comments, nobody's saying, you know what, I reported and something was done. David Makali.
This thing is serious. Back to Kimeo, what protections, what guarantees are there for whistleblowers? What do we need to do?
Well, as I said, part of the reason why we are proposing these legislative interventions is because the terrain is that difficult, and there are no protections available to whistleblowers unless, of course, you go to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission that have some administrative way of protecting whistleblowers.
Yeah.
So there is work that needs to be done there. And also we need to also begin ventilating this case in the courts. Like those ones who are already in the courts, I hope that part of their prayers, what they are asking the court to do is to declare that they have been victimized on account of their reporting to corruption cases.
So Transparency International is working on a bill?
Yes.
witness, or not witness protection, but whistleblower protection.
Yes.
How are you doing this? Are you engaging the Kenya Anti-Corruption Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission? How far and who is involved? When is a bill expected? Is there goodwill? Just let's talk about that.
Well, we have a basic draft that forms a basis for further discussion. We've had stakeholders coming forward to discuss the bill, and of course, going forward is to rope in everybody, so that at the end of the day, we can get progress in this. We hope that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission will take the lead, because it is precisely their constitutional mandate to do it. We will support the Commission, and we will support members of Parliament who are willing to take up this forward, so that it is enacted. In terms of the timelines, I can't say exactly the timeline, how the timelines will play, but hopefully when this matter is brought to the attention of Parliament, we hope that they will see it as important for purposes of enhancing the fight against corruption in this country. And remember, it's also a requirement under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, to which Kenya is a signatory, and which is being reviewed now this year as we speak. So it is an opportunity, in my view, for our institutions, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which I know also has thoughts on this in this area, and I believe they are working on something to really pull together and get these proposals out to Parliament and to be enacted possibly before the end of the year.
So in a nutshell, I mean, that legislation should be one way of proving the government's or this political will that one gentleman there was addressing. The lady from Busia was talking about the lack of political will. It could be demonstrated in its support for this kind of legislation. Sure. I mean, obviously corruption is taking a huge toll. I read somewhere that 300 billion shillings in a year of public expenditure is being lost in corruption, which means it affects everybody in this country. But the challenge, as you can hear, is people don't even know where to report corruption when they come across it. Do you have any sort of clues or links or contacts or institutions where they should first report when you come across corruption?
Well, the first institution that is established constitutionally to deal with issues of corruption is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So
not the police.
That would be the first institution.
Yes.
The police actually also have a mandate on this. They are actually the default law enforcement agency in this country. But unfortunately, I think with the establishment of the Ethics and Corruption Commission, the police seem to have taken a back seat in terms of dealing with the issues of corruption. And the frustration of many Kenyans is that when they report to the police, nothing
happens.
Nothing really happens.
Yeah.
But as you say, the enactment of the law would be a commitment, a political commitment to the fight against corruption.
Right.
But also important, the issues of reporting complaints to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission should be seen in light of what capacity and what resources have been put in that commission.
The commission itself.
Yes, and if you look at what the commission has been allocated now, which is something in the region of 1 billion Kenyan shillings, it's really nothing compared to
again,
the task.
it means it comes back to the same question of political will.
Yeah.
You allocate little money to the institution that you're saying should fight corruption, so a lot of proclamation, but not validated with action. Let's go back to Makazi and see whether there is hope.
Thank you, David Makali and Samuel Kimeu. So far, in fact, we've been trying to look for a comment that has a positive note to it in terms of I reported and something was done. And just perhaps to wrap it up because of time, we have somebody here saying the giant of corruption can only be managed, not slayed. Public offices and administrations in them are riddled in secret dealings and shoddy development projects. Can Samuel encourage the members of Parliament and governors to open up their offices to the public through governors' blog platform and MPs' blog platform? Well, generally, David Makali and Samuel Kimeu, it's that people are saying corruption is so rampant in the country that it would be a waste of time even to think of going to report. Perhaps you could give us your final statements as we wind up.
Yes, you're parting short, Kimeo, on this. You are the center of it. You are not the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission,
No,
but
I am
you
not.
watch the fight.
Yeah.
So maybe your last word.
Well, I think those comments about opening up public offices is an important one. And what I know is that there has been a process of putting together also another piece of legislation, the Access to Information bill,
Yes.
that is supposed to go into Parliament pretty soon. I think the ministry has already done its part, and the idea is to create a framework to enforce, to implement Article 35 of the Constitution that provides access to information. It's a key pillar in the fight against corruption.
Right.
But my parting shot would be that the fight against corruption is mandatory for us. It is an imperative. If you look at the resources we lose, we cannot run away from it. So we have to get down to it and address it.
Right.
And to do this, let's not shy away from building the capacity of our institution to fight this, resource-wise and also holding them to account. Let's compare the resources that we put into our institutions and what is lost to corruption, and we will see that we are doing very little in this regard. What this means is that let's report also, let us provide resources, and then we can hold the institutions to account. So that when we tell the Commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, look, you've not acted on this percentage of complaints that have come your way, we are doing that knowing very well that we have addressed some of the crippling challenges that they have to go through.
Mwakazi, there you are. The opportunity, avail the opportunity to report corruption and protect the reporter. Yes. You know, that's it.
Yeah, many thanks indeed, David Makali, and Transparency International Executive Director Samuel Kimeu. And well, there's a sense of, hopelessness in terms of dealing with corruption, but you and I can actually do something. And Transparency International has taken the front line there. And perhaps you have questions, concerns. You can always send them. Just go to Facebook, TI-Kenya. That's Facebook, TI-Kenya. You can also visit Transparency International. The Twitter handle is @TI Kenya, that is @TI Kenya. You can also call, that is 0800-720-721. That number again, 0800-720-721. And you can also SMS. The text number there is 22129. That's 22129. We need to do something about this dragon of corruption, and it has just started. Many thanks indeed for being here with us on the Power Breakfast Show. My name is Johnson Mwakazi. On behalf, of course, of the whole team, we say thank you so much. Let's meet next week on Monday, as God wills, to have a blessed and a corruption-free weekend. All the best.